What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Politoxic Podcast. I'm your host, Little Miss Marxist.
And I'm your other host, Sari Beth Rosenberg. We're here to break down the most toxic topics in politics this week. Let's get into it.
Well, it's been quite a whirlwind of a week for women, hasn't it, Sari?
It sure has. And I mean, where do we start? I think we should. I'm a history teacher. I like chronology. So let's walk through it chronologically because it's all jumbled in my brain right now. Let's just break it down. So what's the first women's news issue that we were dealing with this week?
Well, Monday would have been the 51st anniversary of Roe versus Wade. I'm not saying it was the anniversary because we no longer have Roe v. Wade. So,
Yeah, we don't. And I immediately had a flashback to that leaked out letter and all the protesting we were doing. I remember having to explain it to my feminist club. Shout out to the Feminist Eagles. I remember being so proud of them. You know, they marched, they went down to Washington Square Park. There was this now iconic, I think, photo of everyone in the fountain protesting. And well, didn't matter. It's gone.
it's gone. And I think it was really tough for a lot of us this week. I think the feminine rage was roaring. It felt like a really tough day to be a woman.
It did. And we were talking about it leading up to it. I was, because we have all our like TikTok memories and Instagram memories, all these videos were coming up like on this day. Yeah, on this day, you were celebrating the anniversary of Roe v. Wade a couple of years ago. And you said this a number of times this week in conversation and online that we live in a world that is less safe for us than it was then like it's less something about it being less. What did you say? I forgot. I'm trying to quote.
I think my English was wrong, but I did it.
Yeah,
We have fewer rights than our mothers had,
right. That's what it was.
which
Right.
which is crazy when you
Crazy.
think about it. I mean, yes, we can have checking accounts and things like that are different now, but when you look at the big picture, we're just completely turning backwards.
Right. Like we can live alone, we can get a credit card. There's just less pressure on us to get married, find a man. I mean, I sure haven't yet. Just if you were wondering. But I don't really care because our society has changed. But I was talking to my students and I asked them their top three issues when they vote. And you can guess it. I'm gonna just tell you because I can be an annoying teacher and make people guess things, and I'm not. Abortion rights, gun violence, climate change. Those are the three issues. And they all said abortion rights first and foremost. And they said that they're probably going to consider certain colleges over others based on if those states protect their bodily autonomy.
I'm actually so happy to hear you saying this because they're taking it seriously, and I'm glad that they don't want to go to those places.
Yeah.
Um, this will affect those states in different ways, which I think is a super positive thing, actually. And I'm glad that those kids don't want to go there and that they're thinking about all of these things.
Yeah. Because like 6 weeks, I 6 weeks in one day. And the fact that we're even having these conversations, like what happens if you really live in New York and you get pregnant in Florida and you go to school there? Will you get in trouble for the fact that we're even discussing the ins and outs of it to that specific and I feel so guilty, and it's not my fault. I wasn't on the Supreme Court, and but I feel so guilty that like here I was, high school, college, my 20s, my 30s. It never even crossed my mind until Trump was elected. And everyone said we were being hyperbolic, right?
Yeah, everybody told us to calm down. It was never going away, and this is where we are. But I think what is more terrifying about it is they are arresting doctors now as well. So it's not just women, they're
Yeah.
actually going to be arresting people who provide care for hundreds of people. So these hospitals in those red states are going to suffer. Doctors don't want to work there, and they're leaving practices there because it's dangerous for them just to provide life-saving health care. And, birth control is next.
Oh
So
yeah,
it,
100%.
it is not being hysterical to talk about these things and the dangers that we're facing, because we're watching it happen in real time. And now we are in an election year.
If honestly, if you are saying, and I posted this, and some people, the response made me scared. But if you don't see the clear difference, even when it comes to women's rights, women's bodily autonomy, anyone who can get pregnant, bodily autonomy, right? If you don't see the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republicans, then you've missed the plot. You've missed the point, and you are basically saying F you to your own rights and F you to every single person's rights. And this is an issue that also concerns men, even though and not just because they have daughters, which I hate when they have daughters. So, no, because I mean, a woman's, hate to break it to y'all, but it's not immaculate conception, right?
Yep, it takes two, but it's only one that's being punished.
Mhm.
But on a positive note about this, if we can find anyone somewhere, I have to say that I'm really impressed by watching specifically the Biden and Harris campaign, their language in talking about abortion and letting us know that this is their number one issue for us and for our daughters and for our granddaughters. And I was really happy to see the administration being so forward about their stance on that. And, I heard some arguments online this week of saying, Democrats being so pro-choice of everything is what got us to lose Roe in the first place, which I completely disagree. And there's such a misconception of how that happened going on online as well. People saying I'm not voting for Democrats because they didn't do enough to protect Roe.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the honest conversation needs to be that the reason why we lost Roe was because we have a Republican stacked Supreme Court. And the only way that the Supreme Court is going to get more seats, or if we were going to be able to codify Roe, is if we pick up more seats in Congress, more seats in the Senate, and maintain the presidency. So it's been difficult to watch the language online, specifically from women, saying they're not going to vote for
Yeah.
Biden because of X, Y, and Z. And essentially, they're just voting against themselves and harming us more. So that has been difficult to see. But I have been really stoked to see
Yeah.
the Biden Harris campaign being so forward and promising
Yeah.
to sign it into law. He promised yesterday, I believe, give us super majorities and he will sign it into law immediately. So
Yeah.
if that's enough motivation for some people, I'm not really sure what will be.
I agree. And I think what people have to realize is that if you don't go out to vote for the president, that means you're then not voting for the legislators that will
Yep.
vote in favor of the liberties and freedoms you think we all deserve. So if you sit this one out, you're really just harming yourself and everyone else, right? If you vote for the third party, and I think I'm going to do a series of TikToks on history of third parties in America. I've been threatening to
That'd
do
be
that
great.
for a while. I think I'm going to do it
Ooh,
party by party. At first, I was going to do like a 5-minute one. I was like, I'm going to do one. I think the first one I'm going to do, I'm going to hold myself to it. I'm going to say it here. I'm going to do it about the third party, the populist party in the 1890s. And we're going to walk through and talk about how that is not how you win what your rights by voting for the third party. Okay.
No,
I'll
and
stop.
I saw a fantastic video, and I wish I could remember the creator's name. I'm going to look it up and put it in. She did a fantastic video on how things actually work and how not a lot of Democrats are getting involved in like local elections, whereas Republicans are, they're flooding the tickets. And so they are definitely beating us in organization in that sense. And also because they understand how the system works. So now they are using the system essentially to harm us.
Right.
So I would love to talk about third party candidates, but basically this wonderful woman did this video and I couldn't agree more with what she said. And it was about, if you want realistically third-party candidates, which a lot of us would want. You have to
Yeah.
put in the work, you have to actually have a candidate, you have to have a plan of action, and you have to do it. So I think going into the election this year, I know that my bottom line issue, and I'm not a one issue voter, but I am this, well, I guess I'm a two issue voter this time. It is abortion and my rights and your rights and every woman that I love, and even all the women I don't know and don't love, and saving democracy, because
Yeah.
the reality is it's not going to be just Roe that we lose. If we lose this election, it is going to be far worse than that. So I don't mean to sound all doomy and spooky, but
It's true.
tone is heavy, and I think we have to be realistic and talk about it and not pretend like everything's going to be okay, because it definitely won't be.
No, it won't. Yeah, my top issues really are the same. It's, I think, number one, saving democracy.
Yeah.
Not hyperbole. We need to save our democracy. Abortion rights, bodily autonomy, gun violence. That is something that you want
Absolutely.
to, if you want something to make us feel safe in terms of the gun violence issue in this country, not voting or voting for the other guy, you're not getting that.
Yeah.
We're going further away. So yeah, so that's important. So I think the silver lining of us not being able to commemorate the 51st anniversary of Roe is that I think it galvanized us. It was a reminder that, like, yeah, remember Roe? It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Hopefully it'll light a fire under the asses of more people to get out there.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
So what's number two on the list of the
Well,
world?
to add insult to injury, the day after what would have been the 51st anniversary, the Oscars announced all of the nominations for 2024.
They did. And I don't know if, unless you were hiding under a rock or something, there was a bit of vitriol online and offline over the fact that Greta Gerwig did not get a Best Director nomination. She did, I believe, and you can fact check me, get a Best Screenplay screenplay, and America Ferrera, rightfully so, got Best Supporting.
100.
She should. I mean, I don't know who she's up against. So I don't want to make any major statements, but I mean, she was incredible. Ryan Gosling got a Best Supporting.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, nothing.
And then Dua Lipa was also snubbed as well.
Dua Lipa didn't get. That's right.
Yes. So let's honestly talk about this here. So we have, several of the actors from the movie like nominated. However, the two women that created the movie were not. And I just want to preface before we start talking about this, I by no means think anyone should have their nomination like revoked, or
No.
another person from another film deserves to be moved out for Barbie. I am definitely not saying that at all. They are all wonderful, talented actresses and actors,
Yeah.
and they all deserve to be there. But what the issue with women this week was the sexism and the misogyny of it.
Yeah.
Specifically with them giving Ken the nomination and proving the entire plot of the movie.
Right. And I think the Oscars has a history of, I think getting nominating women
I
for
believe
Best
there's
Director.
only 8 women who have
Yes.
ever been nominated for an Best Director.
Ever.
One has won, I
Yes.
believe.
You're right.
Out of 100, more, I think a little more than 100 years
Mhm.
of these things. These old guys sit in a room and make these decisions, but I truly feel that this one was deeply personal. I think it was.
Barbie was a brilliant film. They also expanded the amount of directors and films that could get nominations. And I know that the Oscars is more about art than box office hits. And you look at the movies that have won and been nominated, they aren't necessarily always the ones that make, the biggest sales of the year. But Barbie was both, I believe, groundbreaking, mind-shifting film. and also galvanize people back to the movie theaters after
Yeah.
years of COVID. And it also, I know that I know the Oscars isn't giving out like awards based on like cultural moments. It's supposed to be based on the content of the film, but I think the merits of the film alone deserve Best Director, the way she put that film together, and directed it. But also just, can we just celebrate? I know she got screenplay, but that film combined with the gathering of women for Beyonce and others, for Beyonce and Taylor Swift, I think was a big cultural moment. That it was like, we had Me Too, and we've had other moments that have galvanized women. But this was what, Me Too galvanized women around the harm that men have caused us with SA and other things. We don't want to get into that right now. But what I thought was so beautiful about the summer of 2023, which I hope it ends up being something that people write about, is that was a summer where women were galvanized over joy, and not
Yes.
about the male gaze or the lack of the male
Yes.
gaze or the male violence. It was just women coming together. And you and I'm going to share this. The Dua Lipa song is a particular kind of like personal value to me and you, because this summer we had the pleasure of going to, like, we never do this. We're not pool party girls, but we went to like this really fun pool day. We had this fun pool day, and we found ourselves like in this pool hanging out with all these other women that we will never see again. Maybe
We
we're
didn't know
we
them.
didn't know them. It started with us being like, hi Barbie, because the film had just come out. And
Yeah.
and then there was one point, it felt like we were in the Barbie movie. We were all in the pool together with our drinks, and the Dua Lipa song came on, and we were just dancing in the pool, like
Yeah.
jazz recital, like aerobic, water aerobics.
Yeah.
Not really, but it felt like it could have easily been like the water aerobics dance scene from Barbie. And it was just, we were just gassing each other up and saying how beautiful each other were. And I felt like that was like a personal moment that kind of like represented, was like emblematic of like what was going on in the culture of women, of girls, girl dinner too. It's like celebrating being women, irrespective of like what guys think. Like, we were not looking for men. We were not like caring
No,
what they thought.
we,
We were just
we were
having a
just having
fun.
fun
Yeah.
being girls. And,
Yeah.
and to look at uh, on the negative spin of that. Okay, so I went to Beyonce for the first time this year. This was the most incredible concert of my life, right? Like, so much positive feminine energy there, and there was all sexes there, but it was
Yeah.
definitely feminine energy. Then we have like Taylor Swift, like moving mountains, falling in love, enjoying her life, and men are losing their minds over it. Like, you
Yeah.
see the behavior online. Just yesterday, someone created graphic,
Yeah.
terrible pornography, AI generated pornography about Taylor Swift, like being hurt, like being sexually hurt. And men are fantasizing and fetishizing about these things and trying to take our rights. And it's just like the patriarchy is losing its grip on all of us because so many of us are done. But it's just lately kind of feeling like blow after blow after blow.
It does.
Just being a woman in the world today. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
stay positive and believe that those times are over, and that's why they're trying so hard to stop us, right?
Yeah, I
That's why
mean, yeah, like
they're working so hard on it,
Ben Shapiro ceremoniously like setting Barbies on fire because of his distaste. Yeah, the most. I mean, I hope Taylor Swift sue, at the very least, sues Elon Musk for allowing
Oh,
that to be on his platform at all.
it had like 45 million views on it.
Disgusting.
It was screenshotted and it's being
Yeah,
shared
it's gonna
even
live
millions and
forever.
millions of more times. And
Yeah.
I agree. I hope she sues the pants off of the people who posted it, because it's not like these. I mean, we've seen the praying images of Donald Trump and all of these AI generated things that people do. If you're creating graphic images of someone being harmed, like, you're a sick and twisted individual. And who is to say that
Yeah.
person wouldn't act something like that out in real life? They're comfortable enough to post it on the internet, right? So
Right.
we obviously know that this man is thinking about these things, and like, is that someone that we want on the streets?
No, it's like the first step.
Probably not.
It's like the first step of like, is like killing squirrels and stuff. Like, that's the first step of like actually attacking women and harming them. But speaking of lawsuits, There was a very successful one that happened today. Walking through the streets of New York, I walked past some Trump property. There was some great chalk art that if you just look it up in front of the Trump Hotel, in front of the Trump Park with a C, there was they called in chalk, someone wrote in front of it, E. Jean Park Hotel, because E. Jean sued the man once, and then he couldn't stop talking. He couldn't stop running his mouth with his lies. Yes. And so she sued again. And this is not easy for this woman. This is a woman who just wants to be a journalist. She is a star. She's in the limelight for her own. She is a trailblazer. I want to make sure that we just start off by saying E. Jean Carroll should never be just known as the woman who successfully sued Trump. And we'll talk
100%.
about the today in a second.
Yes.
I know her from her journalism. I mean, to be a female journalist in the time period that she was doing it was hard enough. She had to be tough as nails. And she always approached her writing with a sense of humor, but like with this really like toughness to her. Right. And the fact that what that man did to her, and I could cry about it with rage, what that man did to her, and the way she discussed how that in her book, how it forever changed her life as a woman in terms of seeing her sexuality, in terms of her interest in men. That no money, you can't put a price on what he did to her and so many women. And she did that. And the thing is that like, I know I'm ranting, but she did that for all the women who were forced to like, remember all these women came forward after that, grab her by the All Access Hollywood tape, right? Yep. So many women, I remember they were all like, yep, he did this to me, and then they all got scared because he has his goons after them. But yep. E. Jean Carroll did that for all of us, and I feel so thankful. So tell us what the case ended up with today.
She ended up taking home a cool $83.3 million. And I've already threaded this today because I'm going to bet it's going to happen again. This man cannot control himself, and he is going to continue to defame her.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to do it before he goes to bed this evening.
Yeah.
And I hope she sues him again.
She should. Again.
Over and over and over again. And what this is going to do. Okay, so basically how this breaks down is there's already talk on the internet of people saying he's never going to pay her. He's never going to pay her. The courts, from what I understand, if I understand this correctly, please correct me, Sari. From what I understand, the courts are going to be able to seize.
Yes. That's why. Sorry.
That means Trump Tower. That means Mar-a-Lago. That means just like all of these. All of it. Like, I hope they're bulldozed. I hope they're like burned to the ground because I would never step foot in any of them. They're probably so infested. But give them a good search because we might find some more classified documents. I cannot wait to see this man lose everything. And I'm not wishing bad on anyone. I'm wishing for consequences of actions. And he's never going to do jail time for what he did to her. So I hope he lives in like a prison of his own mind, penniless.
Me too. I think he's going to lose all his money. And you know
that's his worst fear. Losing his money and all of that is like the worst way to hurt him. And so it's the best. It's just like, it's poetic justice. It's not enough justice, but
it's poetic justice. And I think, what bothers me, but I can't help them, but the people who are supporting him and sending him $10, $20, they're getting played so hard. This man is not running to be president. He's running from prison. 100. He's not running to the White House. He's using the White House to protect him for facing the consequences. And I think, the reason why we called it a whirlwind week of women, say that faster. I dare.
A whirlwind week of women.
Oh, WWW. Yeah. So, okay, fine. You can say it faster than me. You win. Whirlwind week of women is because I think that it ended in the way it ended in a positive note. Right? Because it started with us being like, God damn it. They took this reminder.
Oh, Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
What more can we take? And yes, you're right. It was.
And
we have to celebrate these small wins. As
we do. And also, Nikki Haley, she's the last woman standing. And Listen,
She's not going anywhere. That's my prediction.
no,
She's going to hold out. She
she's waiting.
said
Yeah, she is.
she's not dropping out. And because she is the only one, I think, who understands that he is going to prison.
Yep.
She knows he's not going to be a thing, and she has backing, because I think the rest of them too are like, Jesus Christ, like, can he just stop? I think a lot of the ones at the top that are funding the Republican Party would actually be relieved if he finally does go to prison, because what a nightmare.
I think she's getting Koch brothers money. I don't know how much more they're going to give her, but I mean, I'm not a big Nikki fan. I'm a Nicki
No.
Minaj fan, but I'm not a Nikki Haley fan. Had
Who
to say
is?
that. Shout out to
Well,
Nikki.
is anyone a Nikki Haley fan?
I thought
I
she
mean,
was saying
somewhere
Nicki
else.
Minaj, and I was gonna smack
Somewhere
her
out
with my
there,
mic.
there's a fan,
Somewhere. Well, there are a couple in her. Yeah, but I think that I kind of love it. I know I don't love her, but I love that it's a woman who's outlasted them all. And I know, yes, I don't agree with a lot of her politics and policies, but it's killing him that it's a woman. It's killing him.
Oh, 100%.
Killing him.
I think he imagined it would be him and DeSantis just flopped out.
Uh-huh. So he's doing birtherism on her, and he's gonna make fun of her dresses. But the thing about Nikki Haley is that, like, she hasn't had to deal with Trump, but she's dealt with this her whole effing life as a woman in politics, in Southern politics. So she can handle it. I'm rooting for her not to, be president or anything, but I kind of love anything.
He's much easier to take than him. Like, I
Yeah.
would much rather be seeing her press every day than him. Like, I can't
Yeah.
wait until I don't ever have to see another post from
Oh,
him ever again. Ever
again.
again. I cannot wait for that day.
I know. I mean, living in New York, I have to walk by his name everywhere.
Oh.
So, but
Not
I
for
like.
long, probably.
What'd you say? Not for
Not
yeah.
for long,
It's going to be
probably.
saying Eugene Hotel.
Carroll, 100%.
Eugene Carroll Hotel. I love her.
Oh.
She's going to be on. I will be watching with popcorn. She's going to be on Rachel Matt. Not that we're not
She's Maddow.
She's going to be on Maddow on Monday night with her lawyer, with her attorney.
You're gonna have to FaceTime
Oh,
me.
we're gonna. Yeah. Do you know that fun fact? I have cable. That's the fun fact. The fun fact is that Marxi watches cable with me.
When big things happen,
Yeah.
She FaceTimes me and props me up on her coffee table, and we watch the news together.
Yeah,
so
that's what we do. That's
sharing.
Yeah.
Caring.
So that's our week.
Yeah. We have one more thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Marxi, there's one more thing.
Oh my God, I don't even know.
So don't cry your makeup off.
Oh no, I'm not gonna. I cried though for like 2 days.
Marxi, who did you meet?
Marxi,
okay, I'm gonna interview you. Marxi,
okay.
Marxi,
Okay.
who did you meet this week?
I met Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, and I shook her hand.
She touched you.
She touched me. Like, it was incredible. Okay, like, where do we start? Like, because I don't know how to talk about it without.
Okay, so where were you?
Okay, so I was invited by the White House to go to meet Madam Vice President, who was arriving on Air Force Two.
Air Force Two. Oh, it's called Air Force Two. I didn't know that.
So Biden flies on Air Force One, and Madam Vice President flies on Air Force Two.
That's cool.
So she was coming to Los Angeles to do, I think, some speeches and some campaign like events. She's actually doing a tour right now. So she was in Minnesota, and then she was in, I think, Virginia. She's been in a couple different states.
She was in Virginia, yeah.
Yeah, she's going and visiting people, and she wants to hear back from women. And
she was visiting.
I got an invite to be there.
That's so cool.
Yes.
So what was it like? What was her energy like? What was the energy there like, and what was her energy like?
The energy there was so positive, and it was just such a wonderful group of people. There's people from politics there, so there was people that I recognized, from creating content, and our Mayor Karen Bass was there, and I saw Maxine Waters was there.
Maxine Waters?
Oh my God, she is so cute.
I love her.
And like, she was dancing around and smiling to everybody. Just the energy was just so good. But we went to LAX, and then you have to go through like the full Secret Service frisk. Like I got frisked by a Secret
You're like,
Service
frisk me.
agent,
I want to meet the vice president.
and he was hot. He was
Why are they all
he
so
was like 7 feet tall and he was hot.
No, all the
So
Secret
they
Service are
search you,
hot.
and it's a very, very thorough process of security. Um, Almost intimidating at times, but it's like I'm meeting the most important woman in the United States of
Pat me
America.
down. Pat me
Of
down.
course, it's going to be serious, but
Yeah.
so they took us way, way, way far out to the very end of the runway of LAX, and Air Force Two lands and pulls up, and she gets off the plane and comes down and talks to like every single person um at like this line of people, and I was one of those people that she shook my hand and got to talk to her for like a millisecond. But
That's amazing.
she like stopped in front of me, and the reason why, oh god, I just like banged my face on the microphone, sorry. So the reason why I got to go was my friend Tina from Twitter. I'm sure you guys have seen her. She's an incredible artist. She does a ton of work for the Biden Harris campaign, and she has become a really good friend of mine through social media channels. Her handle is TL Dura. She does portraits of like RBG and all of the wonderful women in politics. She invited me to go to this, so that's why I got to be there. And I've been losing like my train of thought on the story, but one of her friends, which is now my friend Michelle, which her handle is OG of the HRC. She does stuff for Huffington Post, and she works with a couple of different other publications. I met her there, and she was wearing a Kamala shirt, and she was sitting next to me. And Tina, actually, the one who invited us, designed the Kamala shirt, and Kamala stopped right next to her, and she said, like, I like your shirt. Tina,
that's so
Tina.
fun.
And we were like, we love Tina. And she's like, yeah, we love Tina. And I just like stuck my hand out, and she clasped my hand like we were shaking hands. And she looked away from me for a second because her team was asking her something. And so I was just kind of like standing there,
Like holding hands.
like the handshaking motion. And then she turned back and looked me right in the eyes. And I said, Madam Vice President.
What'd you say?
I said, Madam Vice President, I'm so happy to be here today. And she smiled so big at me and she said, me too. And slapped my hand and kept walking. And then I was just kind of like stunned, I was,
Dude, that's such a good response.
she was like so like normal. Oh my God, am I gonna cry? She was so like normal.
She was normal.
Took the time to speak to like almost every single person.
Major.
And her team was like so nice and offered taking people's phones out of their hand and taking pictures. And honestly, like as a woman, when Hillary lost, I didn't think that we were going to have a chance of a woman ever being in the White House ever again. And I kind of lost hope in those moments, but it also ignited me and made me want to fight more for women, to now having Kamala Harris, first female vice president, woman of color, in the White House, representing me and every other girl of every other ethnicity and representing us. It just felt like the highest honor of my life, and I'm so grateful that I got to be there. And it was an experience that I will literally never forget for my entire.
I'm so glad you had that experience, and I think it's a good note to end on tonight, whenever you're listening.
Gratitude,
because this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting, and I don't want to get choked up, but we're fighting so that more women, girls can have that experience. And I want to fight. I want to fight until that's just the norm, that it's not so spectacular. I want to fight so that like Eugene Carroll doesn't have to fight that, like men don't do that stuff anymore because they know there's a price to pay. And I want it to be that every young girl and woman isn't surprised when a woman has power, is a vice president, is a president, is a senator, right? And that's what we're fighting for. And I don't get it that everyone isn't. That's where I'm like, I don't understand why you don't want that. So
we're not going to stop until all of those things are a given, which they should be, because it's a human right.
It is.
And
okay.
we have a lot of work to do, but I'm glad I've got you on my side.
glad I have you on my side. So we're going to continue this. We're going to continue to put out our podcast, and we're so grateful to everyone who supports us, supports our content, supports our podcast, and we're going to keep fighting. And we're going to keep fighting together. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And we'll be back very soon with more.
See you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.